Hi, welcome to Data Think Box. And in this video, I'll be walking you through how to learn data analysis and land your first job in the UK. I've been working as a data analytics engineer for the past 3 years here in the UK. I moved to the UK for my master's degree. In 6 months, I landed my first tech job. Let me know if you want a video that describes my journey from moving from a student visa to a skilled worker visa. So, when you want to break into the data analysis field, it's usually essential to strategically plan and know how to learn the skills that you need and break into the industry. The learning strategy or pathway that I'll recommend to people in 2026 to land their first data analysis job is make sure you've got the right tech skills, the soft skills, your portfolio, and your job application. So we'll go into details in each of these. So your tech skills, these are the essential skills that are needed in the core delivery of a project. So these are those skills that you need in the actual execution or the performance or how a project is delivered. So some of the different tools that you need to learn to build up your tech skills, this can be Excel. Excel is the most popular spreadsheet application package. It's developed by Microsoft. So this is widely used in the industries. Most companies, they've got an Excel application, and Excel is quite good for data analysis because it's an all-in-one tool. So it helps you with your data collection, data analysis, data transformation, data cleanup, and it even helps you build charts. So it shows how robust and useful Excel is. And picking up Excel, it gives you an end-to-end knowledge of what a data analysis project should look like. In Excel, you basically need to know the functionalities there, like creating functions, adding a new cell, adding new columns, transforming your data, pivot tables, and all of that. So I'll put a link in the description below so that you can learn Excel. The next skill that I usually recommend to people to learn is SQL or SQL, as some people call it. SQL is a querying language. It's used to query data from databases. One thing you'll notice in the industry is that companies store their data in databases. And these databases, they give your data a structured format. So companies know they've got a strict way of storing data. They've got different locations for different types of data, and this data is updated automatically or systemically. So this is why SQL is important, because most companies that you see, you need to have those querying language skills where you need to query your data, read the data, transform the data, and also load the data into your analytical tool. So SQL is quite important, and I'll put a link in the description below that walks you through the basics of SQL, what you need to know, how you need to get your data out of a database, transform them, load it, and do some advanced transformations with SQL. And then moving to the next tool, it's your data analytics or business intelligence tool. This can be Power BI or Tableau. So Power BI, it's a Microsoft data analysis tool. I think it's the most known or most used business intelligence tool out there. So it contains functionalities that let you create visuals and charts using data. It lets you connect to different data sources, can be databases, web pages, whatever. It's quite a powerful tool. I usually refer to Power BI as Excel on steroids. So because there is a lot of similarities between Power BI and Excel. So once you've got a very good knowledge of Excel, moving to Power BI won't be so difficult. And also there are other business intelligence tools like Tableau. Tableau, I've used it a few times. But I'm more conversant with Power BI, and I lean towards Power BI because most companies, they are Microsoft based, so they've got a Microsoft subscription, and sometimes it comes together with Power BI. So that's why Power BI is more in demand than a lot of other business intelligence tools. So those are all that you need to learn as a start for your tech skills. Moving on to the soft skills. The soft skills, these are peripheral skills that you need to know or you need to have in the grand scheme of a project. They are not the essential core skills that you need in the execution of a project, but they are relevant on the long run. The first thing I usually recommend to people is communication skills, because your communication skills is how you present yourself to a client or to an employer. This is where you communicate with the person or with the client and you get to understand who they are, what they want, what kind of problem they are facing, and know what kind of solution to proffer to them. One thing about the human mind is that when they sense that you don't really understand them or you don't really speak their language, it kind of creates a barrier. It creates like a sense of doubt in them. So this is why communication skills is essential. I remember when I started out, I never really knew how important this was, but with time, you get to see because when you communicate very well with your client, this is when you understand what problem they are facing. You tend to gather the requirements of the project, understand what you need to execute and how it can be done. And it's also important in communicating to the stakeholders, to the clients, the progress of a project. What are the pain points? What bottlenecks are you facing? What innovations have you made? So it's very easy for you to use communication as a point of reference for your project. This is why it's important. And I highly recommend people to work on their communication skill, put out a camera out there, talk to the camera, talk to people, know how to tailor conversations to people. The way you talk to a technical user is different from how you talk to a non-technical user. These are the kind of things that you pick up when communicating in a project. Then the next soft skills is documentation. Documentation is the process of writing down everything that you've done, all the processes, all the steps, all the decisions that you've made in a project. On the surface, it might seem not so important, but by the time you start delivering large scale projects, you see how important they are because documentation lets you keep track of what you're doing, know who takes ownership of certain things, who's delivering one aspect of a project, what progress you've made in your project, what kind of things and decisions have you encountered in the project. It helps you make a copy of the project itself outside of the project, if you get what I mean. So this is why documentation is quite relevant, and it also helps you to organize yourself better and put the project in play. So I usually recommend to people to work on their documentation skills. I use different tools for my documentation. This can be Excel, this can be Notion or whatever note-taking app out there. Then the next soft skills is domain knowledge. So domain knowledge is your knowledge about a particular field or industry. This helps you understand what kind of challenges are faced in that industry, what kind of problems, what kind of solutions, and also helps you understand the business line of that industry. So this can be finance, transportation, healthcare, or whatever. So once you are familiar with the industry, you tend to know what problems these clients will come to you at, tend to have like a fundamental knowledge of this business of that or of that industry, so you don't need to ask like basic questions that make you seem like a rookie. Yes, asking questions is good, don't interpret it wrongly, but when you've got the domain knowledge, it puts you in a better position to know what you are doing and know what to deliver to the client. It's an add-on, so but you don't need to really bother so much about it. But if you want to step up your game, you can really work on it. And the way I do is for any new industry I'm working on, I tend to look out for YouTube videos, articles, community forums where people talk about this industry and the line of work of what they do and what clients usually look out for. So I really recommend doing something similar. Then the next soft skill you need to know is analytical thinking. Analytical thinking is the process of thinking in data. This is the process of transforming ideas or knowledge or problems into data. How do you present these things in form of data? How do you visualize it? How does your customer understand it? So if your customer is in the manufacturing industry, you need to think, okay, so what kind of problems are people going to have or face, or what kind of answers will they look out for? Are they looking out for, oh, which day did I have my highest products manufactured, or when did I have my highest procurement, or who's the most efficient worker in the factory? All these kind of questions. So this is where your analytical thinking skills comes in. You tend to use this or flex this in front of people because most times the clients, they do not know exactly what they want. They want you to suggest to them or tell them, okay, this is what I've done or this is what I think you should do. So that's the importance of analytical thinking. So moving on to the next step in the strategy, we've got the portfolio. So your portfolio is a collection of projects that you've done previously to showcase to people what your skills are, what you can offer to an employer. One of the essential things about having a portfolio is make sure you have something that adds value to you or that adds value to a business. So instead of building a portfolio that has little to no value that no one will ever use, look for a business problem, look for what companies are talking about, a pain point, and try to work on that pain point. So this can be, let's say you're interested in the banking industry, so you can look for data sets that stores records about customer churn or defaults on a loan and do some analysis on that data. Showcase what kind of demographics are involved in this customer churn. Tell us what age groups are affected, what social class is affected, all those kind of things. These are the things that a business would like to see. And when you present them with this portfolio, with projects like this, they've already seen your skills, they've already seen the potential or the addition you bring to their business, and it gives you an edge. So one thing about having a portfolio is getting the projects into the portfolio is one thing. The deployment and presentation is another thing, because if it's not presented in a way that a user will easily understand, they'll struggle to know how to use your tool. They'll struggle to understand what you built. So it's usually advisable to spend as much time on how you deploy and deliver these projects as much as possible, because it's really important. So this can be making sure the user interface is friendly, making sure that the user experience is really good, making sure there are as few clicks as possible, as few mouse travels as possible. So where you've made it easily reachable for the user, it helps you a lot. And one of the tools I use for my portfolio is GitHub, because GitHub is quite a very useful tool. It helps you with your version control, it helps you to store your projects. It's also publicly available, so you can send someone a link to your profile and they will easily see what you've done and know how to access it. So GitHub is quite good. There are some other version control or portfolio applications out there which I can make a video later about it. So the next step is the actual job search. So this is where you start sending out job applications, start reaching out to people, start sending out applications, reach out to recruiters, make yourself out there. You don't need to wait for when you've learned all the skills I mentioned previously. Once you've mastered or once you've gotten the basics of one of the skills, just give it a shot, start applying. I know a lot of companies out there, they are looking for entry level applicants who they will give time to grow, learn the business and all of that. So you don't need to be a master of all of these skills I've mentioned. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to know the basics. And once you know the basics, you flourish in the field. As long as you are willing to learn and grow, you always find it easy. So start sending out your applications, build your CV, make sure your CV has your job history, your skills, your certifications, everything you've done. Make sure they are all there. Also, try and volunteer as much as you can, because volunteering gives you the opportunity to be more exposed to the industry, get to learn things out there, you get to network with people, you meet people, you get a lot of opportunities. I remember when I used to volunteer for a company, I worked as a junior machine learning engineer. We worked with United Nations, we worked with different companies out there and deliver some very important projects. So this is the importance of volunteering. And some other things you can do to get yourself out there could be writing blogs, writing Medium posts, writing on LinkedIn, just sharing your knowledge, what you've learned with people out there. It helps them to see you, it helps them to see your skills, and you might be lucky someone will reach out to you. Once you have gone through all those steps that I've listed, you see that landing your first data analyst job isn't as daunting as you think. It's not all about spamming a lot of tools and then just putting yourself out there. It's mostly strategizing and planning yourself, positioning yourself where you make the most out of the resources that you've got. Before you know it, you land your first job. In this video, we've walked through some of the essential skills that you need to land your first job. These are your tech skills, which includes Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau. And then you've got your soft skills, which includes communication, documentation, domain knowledge, and analytical thinking. Then you've got your portfolio, having a collection of projects. Make sure they are high value projects, make them easily reachable, ensure the user experience is good, the user interface is good, and all of that. And then your job search itself, start as soon as possible. Make sure you are putting yourself out there. Make sure recruiters have your CV, they know you, and you're always out there putting yourself in the public, telling them your availability and your skills, what you've got, what you can offer. Once you've got all these figured out, you definitely land your first job. For more videos like this, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section if you have any questions or any topic you'd like me to talk about. Cheers.